Okay, so I think we are officially late by 1 minute. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Ah, okay, cool. Thank you. And sorry for that. Let me just share the slides. Uh, okay, let's see. Can you see the slide? Yes, okay, cool. I wonder if I'm, yes, thank you guys. Okay, let me maximize this. So yeah, so welcome to this. I know it's been like, I've lost my my practice of doing the Friday session. So yeah, so I miss you. I miss you guys. uh, so welcome to this session. This is like, hopefully a relaxed Q&A type of stuff, though I have some slides to go through with you about the submission. For those of you who are interested in getting a certificate and potentially, interested in having some sort of recommendation by me, career related to my company or some other companies that I'm connected to. So yeah, okay. Let me jump on straight about the submission stuff. It's really very simple, or at least this is how I envisioned it. So hopefully today, uh, based on your feedback, maybe I can make some changes. I don't know, but this is how I think it's probably a good starting point. So the first step for submission is I'll share the submission questionnaire. I'll do this on Monday, so I will email everybody to that questionnaire. And the questionnaire will include stuff like, the project overview, why did you pick the project? And most importantly, because this is what I'm looking for, is how did the foundation module, the mathematics that you learned with the foundation module, helped you contribute to this piece of work? So that's it, really. So I'm looking for impact. That's all I want in order to bother myself to put your name in a piece of paper, and probably have to have a designer do all this stuff for the course, which I haven't done yet, but I will do. Don't worry with that. And the stuff, it can be like a group submission. So, you can gather together, especially those of you being like, known each other throughout the months we've been going through the foundation module on Fridays. You can organize yourselves in groups. I would recommend a small group, not too much. Too much is like, it's very hard to actually, have everybody to contribute more or less evenly. So I recommend you to have like small groups, but you can also do individual submission, right? It's either is okay, it's just up to you, and if you do the group submission, you guys individually, you have to obviously submit the form, tell, whether you did the group and which group, and, what did you contribute in the group work. So, yeah, that's it about group versus individual. I encourage group because I think not just to take an advantage that a lot of you guys are coming from different background. Maybe a group work will help you find some interesting, problem that you want to apply the mathematics you learn to. You learn with the module, right? And also because we cover a lot of different stuff, maybe some of you might feel more comfortable with some parts of the course than the others. So that way you can help each other. So that's why I encourage group stuff. It's also a way of, for you guys, especially the not so much those of you guys who already like, establishing your careers and these things, but for like, the grads students, this is a great way to kind of start, putting this sort of collaboration stuff into your career exploration. I just realized I'm just talking blah, blah, blah. I didn't actually check. I didn't enable, I mean, the Q&A. I will enable it now. So if you have any question, yes, let me check the chat. Yes, great to see you, everyone. Also, I see Aditya, our friend, Francisco, Claudia, everyone, Stefano. Okay, so the Q&A is enabled. So you can ask any questions as I go along before I stop. So yeah, so that's it really. And then the next step is obviously a URL where you will put, whether it's, if you decide to do like a programming related stuff, you know, like contributing to say an open source project or creating an open source project, it's up to you. You can just point to the repository, right? And this doesn't need to be like something from scratch. Maybe during the course, you might, I know some of you might have done, somebody, I have like a stalker who goes around social media and these things. And it seems some of you have done some work related to the quantum open source foundation or something. You know, if that work was done during the foundation module, if some of the stuff that you learned, you know, was helpful, yeah, I want to find out. And, you know, you will get your certificate through that. So you don't have to do something new. So, yeah. And then another thing is, I will ask on the questionnaire form whether you would like to be considered for a career referral. I hope there's no typo. I couldn't check, you know me. So this will be like, you know, me recommending, you know, you to my company, to my other colleagues, or to myself, or to other companies that we are connected within our network. In fact, something that I'm thinking is actually to invite us, 2 or 3 other companies for those who submit work. So you can have like, you know, maybe a session with them, right? Invite one at a time. They tell you about the company and what they are looking for and these things, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously I leave it to you guys, you know, because I'm just doing the intro. But for those who want career stuff, here's a requirement. I need to have a call with you. 20 to 45 minutes call with you, just to you know, iron out some stuff, just to, you know, find out a bit about, because I know we have, for those of you who are like regulars, you know, I kind of have a sense of, you know, what sort of background you are coming from and so on. But still good to have that some sort of like, you know, a proper like conversation and this thing, because recommendation is like, you know, it's very, it's something that's very heavy, you know. So I would rather like have like a call so we can like find out a bit. And also it's also about mitigating expectations and these things, because then I can, you know, see whether, you know, what are your, what I think, my honest view about the realistic chances, whether with my company or whether with someone else. So yeah, but this is optional. This is only, so this submission call, this is only for those who want to like a career stuff, you know, or wants maybe help from me or something, you know, for the people I know to get a career opportunity with them. Yeah, the rest who don't want this, they just want certification and these things. If we do this, you know, I will know who, you know, I will email you once I concluded. Will, you know, the certificate will be emailed digitally on the PDF format, and you know, you can go post it wherever you want and so on. It's entirely up to you. But that's it really in terms of the process. Before I move on to the next segment, I will just check if there are any questions about this. I see a lot of questions on the chat. Does anyone want me to bring them on actually? So if you want the thing, I want to make this like interactive also. So if you want, I can bring you on stage, huh? So you can ask questions directly instead of typing. Thanks for Lester. Looks really cool. Thank you, Rishi. We welcome everyone. Okay, so I guess it's clear then, like, you know, the steps for those who want a piece of certificate. It's fine, and this does not preclude you, exclude you from attending the next module, right? It's also, you know, free. There's nothing. The thing, you don't need the certification. It's just, you know, this is something, a bonus, an extra thing for those, because I've received a lot of email, people asking, Now that the thing, actually before the module even finished, people were already asking about that, attendance certificate. I don't like attendance certificate because first of all, I haven't been monitoring, who attended, who didn't attend, and all of that is like the thing. Plus for me, that's not what I am looking for. I'm looking for impact. That's what I want. So you don't need this to go. Obviously, you need the knowledge. I advise. I will touch on about the next module actually in the next few slides or so, or in the next slide. You definitely need to take the foundation module because it's going to help you for the next module, which will be about lead theory. But before the lead theory stuff, we'll have something. I have a suggestion to have like a prerequisite for that. So. Thanks. When would so Francisco is asking about. Let me see if it's the same question on the thing. Yes. So George, today's slide will be available. Yes. Let me answer this question. It's very easy. So the slides will be available. Yes, I'll put it on GitHub, and also share the link after. Okay. So Francisco, potential deadline. That's the thing. There's no deadline really. Ideally, it would be great if you, do it before the next module starts, or if you want like a career stuff, recommendation stuff. So you want to do it ASAP. So, but there's no deadline really. So you can take your time to think through and maybe review stuff and these things. So yeah, because this is not a formal, a formal, how do you say, I even lost the word. So yeah, there's no formality here. It's not like a institutional stuff. So yeah. But I recommend, obviously, if you want like a career recommendation from me or something like the thing, or if a piece of paper helps. Yeah. Francisco is saying I'm interested, but I have a lot of work to do at the same time. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. That's why we're not putting like the thing, and we are not I'm not excluding people from attending the next module just because they didn't submit a piece of work, because it's optional. It's just for those who want the certificate, if it makes difference, and also have this extra bit of being recommended by myself, then yeah, I need to see something. Okay, so I assume this is not a problem. So this is the thing. So the next module, I think it's natural to be about Lie theory, right? We're going to talk about Lie groups, Lie algebras and representation, blah, blah, blah. But before that, I think we need some sort of a prerequisite. So we are not just jumping straight into Lie groups, because they are not just groups in the plain vanilla algebraic sense. They have topological structure, or more precisely, the groups are also manifolds. Okay, so for that, I think we should have very quick. So these are the number of lectures, by the way, the sessions. So we should have one segment, maybe in the summer. I don't know. Let's see how this lockdown stuff, and also my time with the company stuff. Yeah, but I'm suggesting, because this foundation module has been pretty much very algebraic, it's natural if we can, it's much easier for you if we start here to have some sort of representation theory 101, in particular focus on group representation, and use the groups that we already know, like the unitary group, for instance, as the prototype, because these will be the actual Lie groups that are, people work with in physics and quantum computing. So yeah, and also introduce the concept of F algebra, so where F is a field. So what the concept of an algebra, you hear about Lie algebra, what does the algebra mean in the thing? So there is a formal definition of what an algebra is. So and you already have the basis for that. You know what a vector space is, you know what a ring is. So it will be, I would say, very easy for those of you who have taken the foundation module. So the idea is then, now that the algebraic stuff is out of the way a little bit, we can then switch to topology. So we'll start with point set topology. So this is just the basics, the bare minimums of topology. What's a topology on a set, for instance? What's a topological space? And then build on that to defining topological manifolds. Yeah, what's a topological manifold? Because Lie groups are topological manifolds. And that's essentially topological groups 101. So after this, then we can move on to Lie theory. So that's the idea. Okay, Aditya is let's see. Thanks. Okay. All this looks exciting and also very intimidating, Aditya. No, don't worry. This is not it's just it's just wordy stuff. You guys, I know you guys, you will learn this. This is like the stuff is just and because we are starting from like the beginning and these things, it's nothing it's more intimidating by the words and these things if you think than actually content and these things. You will see it's very beautiful theory, and for those of you who want to like interested in things like quantum error correction and these things, these things are very interesting things for you guys to. Group theory is very useful. So yeah, so that's the plan anyway for prerequisites. Now, in terms of possible dates, as I said, I would like to do this early summer, and then you have a break, and then maybe in the autumn we start the Lie theory like last time. We start the Lie theory bits, right? And then hopefully, let's see. I haven't actually made plans on how to approach it and how many sessions on Lie theory, especially Lie groups. But I hope it will be interesting enough that we will cover some interesting stuff. And if we have time and if you still have patience, maybe we can cover other advanced stuff, not just outside the Lie theory stuff. Maybe we can do something on measure theory or maybe dive a little bit deeper into functional analysis, for instance. Yeah, or other stuff. There's one thing, maybe some of you, I know Stefano will probably love this. I have an idea of, I'm discussing with someone else to do a course on topological data analysis. So, but I think I want to do some mathematical prerequisite stuff for that, namely to do with the algebraic topology. So I'm looking into doing a parallel thing to do with, where I will cover stuff like the prerequisites for algebraic topology. So I will be covering category theory because, things like, homology and these things that are needed, and these things are better understood as functors, in this case, these things work like, going from the category of groups, topological spaces to the category of groups and these things. So a lot of the concepts like homology, cohomology, and these things are better understood, obviously using the language of categories. So yeah, so we'll be doing that. This is nothing to do with quantum, but for those who are interested in algebraic topology, in topological data analysis, if you want to learn about, persistence homology and all this stuff that are used for doing topological data analysis, it's really cool. Yeah, we are definitely, my company, we are interested in that actually. I might touch on that a little bit. Okay, Rishi is saying these are all things I've been meaning to try to learn. Well, we'll keep you posted on that. Yeah, it's actually very, very interesting, actually, especially in these. And what about something practical like different? Okay, so yeah, I'm actually also thinking this. The thing is, I think it's becoming a time where I need my colleague also, or someone from my company to do other stuff, because I cannot do jack of all trades type of stuff. I'm everywhere. But integrated quantum computing, a course on quantum computing is actually something natural. Maybe a natural thing to proceed is with you guys, like a cohort, after we go through the theory. Maybe we can jump straight into, because I know a lot of you already know the basics of quantum computing, and more than basic actually, with the type of work and stuff that you already learn. And I know some of you want new challenges. I've seen someone write on Twitter saying they are sick of what was it, going through the same the same exercise or something like that. Yeah, sure. So maybe we can cover advanced stuff on the thing after you go through lead theory. Yeah, we can cover. So George is asking quantum information theory in general. Yes, maybe we can cover more depending on how much we want to cover. Then obviously the mathematics can be expanded based on what areas of quantum information theory that we need to cover. Quantum machine learning and application. This is definitely something that we are interested in. I'm particularly interested in this. I will share why. Because I've been hearing a lot of noise about how even with the NISC devices, this is it's practical to do something non-trivial, something useful. So I want to find out, especially in finance, right? Because we have a fund, actually, a quant fund, and obviously we want to find any ways that we can use technology to make it easy for us to gain more capital that we can reinvest in our company. Whom you are just going into. So yeah, so Aditya, I'll pick on your question. I'll come back to this because this actually touches the point that I will be going through after. So yeah, so enough of blah 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 for on this thing. So this is the plan, and I will keep you, for those of you who are also interested in topological stuff, data analysis, the other thing that I was talking about. I'll keep you updated once I have more things. So, but that should be very exciting because I want to integrate that also with practical stuff like computational stuff to do like building stuff. It's just I'm doing the prerequisite because I think I've seen some courses on computational algebraic topology that starts with all these abstract stuff that if you are not coming from a mathematics background, pretty much the same thing that motivated me to do quantum formalism, this stuff. Because people start immediately, okay, a quantum state is a thing on a Hilbert space, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so a lot of computational algebraic courses are more or less like this. People go, what's homology? What's behind the thing? What's the boundary maps? What's the thing? So I'm going to start from the basics with that, and then build on, and then bring in the practical stuff, I think. So if you are interested in that, definitely I would say it's a kind of pathway where you get mathematics, but you also get the computational stuff if you are coming from computer science stuff. Okay, yeah. So thank you, Aditya. I'll come back to it. It's actually good you posted that. That's fine. And yeah. Okay, so early career tip. This is where this is the most uncomfortable part of this thing because it's essentially just me ranting. Okay, but hopefully even if you disagree, we agree to disagree. Yeah. Okay, we'll still be friends. So, but before that, I have a disclaimer. I hope there is no typo. First of all, well, I guess most of you already know, I'm the Mr. Typo. So, yeah. So be warned that the stuff that I'm sharing you is very biased. It's from my point of view, based on my experience from my company. So, it's normal. You might speak to someone else. Whatever I share with you, whatever I convey to you, someone else might have a different opinion, and you yourself might have a different opinion. So that's fine because obviously we have different. We are coming from different angles, right? But I hope some of the stuff I would like to thank anyway by speaking to colleagues and other people in other companies. I think some of the stuff will probably overlap. Okay, so. Okay, feel free to take a couple of comments. Like, yeah, I was just checking the thing. Okay, so first of all, just briefly about Zyku Group. Really, just nothing really. I'm not going to spend much time in blah blah blah. But my company is like self-promoting. So Zyku Group, we are a private fund backed by myself, my co-founders. R&D, deep tech R&D company that seeks to explore deep tech for commercial purposes. We tend to like to bet on ideas, brave ideas, risky ideas that probably might not work, but nevertheless they are very novel. And if they work, there is a big potential for reward. And ideally, things that use a lot of mathematics, especially the mathematics that myself and my colleagues are excited about. Okay, so these are just some of the areas that I highlighted because these fall into my area of recruitment. This is the projects around these areas are with me. So, but my colleagues also have other stuff. So, quantum algorithms, for instance, as I was mentioning before, I'm especially for the NISQ era because I've read so many papers, blah blah blah, saying even with the current NISQ devices, we can do something useful. And I've seen a lot of noise on finance. Okay, well, I want to find out. Okay, so I have some of my colleagues are a little bit more, even with this, a little bit more religious with the gate model. For me, I'm open for anything, whether any paradigm, any of the thing, as long as there is an advantage. I don't care whether it was done through a quantum annealer. So yeah. And in particular, I'm very interested in things to do with finance, for instance. People say, you can do portfolio optimization, constructions, and these things. I've seen some papers claiming all sorts of stuff. Well, in fact, I'm so skeptical because, first of all, if they were doing such a nice predictions, for example, on the stock market and these things, surely they could be making money for themselves. Why write a paper and reveal that and try to sell it to other investors? So anyway. That's one of the things, but definitely quantum algorithms for the NISQ era is something. So if some of you are interested in that, if you think you have something that doesn't do like not toy stuff, that's something useful, yeah, feel free. Computational algebraic topology. This is essentially building like computational tools for assisting with the stuff that are relevant to topological data analysis. For example, computing persistent homology, for instance, this type of stuff. Homomorphic encryption is something else. We actually have a project, a live project going on. Hopefully, in sometimes in summer, we will have some sort of a beta opening. That's another area. And then obviously there are some actually, is there anything in the middle? Between at least two of them, we actually find there is some techniques from algebraic topology that my colleague is working on that completely like caught us in like a surprise. And there is also another idea of using algebraic topology to attack some of the existing encryption algorithms, including in particular the elliptic curve stuff. So we have a guy working on that. I can't go more into. I cannot go into the details about that, but this is just to say that in our company we really look for like interconnectivity of things, even if the ideas are like crazy and these things. We like to bet on that, which means that most of our projects, because we've been around for like over 5 years when we first started, most of our projects end up in like a dead end. We have like obviously very bold ideas that at some point reaches maybe like a technical wall, brick on the wall, like the thing. So, but that's how we take. We are not looking for low hanging stuff, or to make like a noise on social media, blah blah. Because part of it is because we are self-funded at the moment, so we are not looking for VC. We are not under pressure to make noise just to give the impression that we are making progress with low-hanging fruit, so we can get funded. That's not us. We don't want that. So yeah, we provide apart from our fund that supports Zyco Group. So Zyco Group eventually, at the moment, is more of like an R&D company, but our bigger vision for it is to become like maybe a private equity holding company, buying other companies. Aki hiring talented teams, this type of stuff. Yeah, so don't discount us. Don't discount us. In maybe in 10 years' time, some of these companies making noise. You never know. Maybe they will be part of us. I don't know. Yeah. So that's my dream anyway. So yeah. So we also offer technical consulting through the UK government Crown Commercial Service, the technical procurement framework. So this actually has an impact on how we recruit. I will go into details with that. And we are also, we have some projects, collaboration stuff through this Innovate UK. So Innovate UK is the funding agency from the UK government that has been investing heavily in quantum. So my colleague actually was joking, saying that Innovate UK is the reason why you have every quantum physicist in the UK wanting to start a quantum company, because there's a lot of money in it. So they get, it's like there's more money if they say they are trying to start a company than doing fundamental research, right? Why not say we are starting a company and then you do both? You are doing fundamental research and you know, you are giving yourself a shot of a company. This is not criticism to Innovate. It's just I thought it's very funny. So yeah, let me check the chat and then I will go to the Q&A. Okay, Aditya is okay. Yeah. So Aditya, I will answer this other question about the meaning behind Zaiku, and then leave the other question for the thing, because the other question is more relevant to the next to the other slides. So Zaiku, before we started Zaiku, so our Zaiku is a pivot. So we pivoted to Zaiku in 2016. Before that, there was another company that's to do with you know, cloud stuff, AI and blah blah blah, whatnot. And we were looking for a name, something that meant, you know, uncertainty. So we are just putting some like brainstorming around, say, you know, names that could fit, you know, uncertainty, could fit like you know, all this thing of you know, starting a company, right? So something like a puzzle and this thing. And then we found this Japanese thing called the Yosegi Zaiku. So that's where the name comes from. Let me check if I can find the link for it on LinkedIn. Yosegi Zaiku. Yeah, these guys. I think is this, let's see. Something like that, yeah. So this is where the name Zaiku came from, and it's neutral. You know, we can have Zaiku XYZ, Zaiku whatever. So yeah, that's where the name Zaiku comes from. Okay. Yeah, and also yeah, because my co-founder, he traveled Japan. He's a bit also thing with Japan. So okay, so that's us in a nutshell. And you know, maybe we'll become a different beast in 3 or 5 years time. I don't know, but yeah, that's where we are anyway, in a nutshell. So what I look for, because I'm one of the, as I said, I'm one of the persons who recruits for the thing, for the company. So the key things that I look for in this thing, let me go line by line, and the hardest part is actually the first one, because I won't define what talent is, because you know, we will not we'll end up not agreeing, right? But I will just say talent is something that when you see, you recognize it. Okay, that's a naive definition, but I will tell you some characteristics that I think talent have. First of all, I think talent is universal. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are from, you know, your whatever social constructs, ethnicity, and these things that we add, you know, it's something. And I also like to believe that we have talent for something. All of us is just maybe sometimes we are not in the right environment for the talent to manifest, or you know, we didn't have the opportunity to enable the talent to manifest itself. And talent doesn't have an age, okay? Because normally, for me, when I hear people talk about talent, or very often, you know, people, first thing that comes in talent, you think young people, you know, 16 years old, you know, whatever, 8 years old, genius, and these things. I actually think, especially in quantum computing, these emerging stuff that requires a bit of maturity. if there is any, they're going to be outsiders, people who didn't come from normal tend to do things. It will probably be someone mature, coming from whatever background, and that have the maturity to think about these things, because the level of abstraction, I'll come to this, is simply not there yet to enable a 15 years old or 16 years old to do something. Yeah. So that's my view, my controversial view. So talent doesn't have an age. It can be at any age. Okay. And it can be raw or polished. By raw, I mean like again, I will be very vague in here. It's like maybe the person has a talent, whether mathematical or whatever, but they didn't have the opportunity to tune it, right? They didn't have the condition to foster that talent, to channel it in a constructive way, to do something. Yeah. So I really look for that. In fact, in my company, for people that we recruit, one thing that we have in place is that if they are going to work with mathematicians or whatever, if they're not, say they are like mostly from a computer science background with a limited mathematical thing, we actually have 3 months where we'll go through the internal thing, like relevant mathematics that they need, the minimum, in order to understand the mathematicians that they work with. So, in fact, most of this strategy of this foundation module, how I structured the sequencing of learning, and this came from the playbook from this internal thing that we do 3 months. So it's 3 months of just mathematics, okay? That's it. You don't do anything else. You just learn mathematics with the thing and talk to the mathematicians that are working on the project, right? So, yeah. So talent is definitely something that I think, in my view, that it's universal. It's everyone has a talent. It's just whether the talent will manifest itself, whether they are in the right condition to do that, to use the talent. Okay, so that's what I look for. Independent thinking. Apologies, I forgot to. I forgot to censor this, but who cares? So yeah, sorry for that. So I want independent thinkers, ideally F the system type. Okay, fuck the system type of mentality, but it's not like fuck the system in the sense of, blah, 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 fuck the system, It's actually, fuck the system. I can do something better. I'm going to do this, even if they fail after. I like that. I like this thing to not being like happy with the status quo, right? Don't go with the herd, challenge the stuff, but challenging is not just in the sense of ideology, talking through and saying oh, everyone is against me, I'm genius, blah blah blah. No. It's actually with actually doing something. Okay, let me check the chat. Apologies for the swear. Yeah, 3 months of only having to do math. Yeah, learning the thing, because it's a language we understand, and we do that because it's in our interest that you go through, you have the stuff to contribute. Because if you you make any breakthrough, or you help your other colleagues break through, it's good for us. So why not? Which actually also, because of all these efforts that we go through, which means we have to be very careful in our recruitment, so we are not wasting a lot of time in someone who maybe will not stay long enough. So I'll come to that anyway. So yeah, so independent thinkers, ideally, people, I like people coming from an unusual background, people who are not happy with the way things are, because they think we can do better, and then, roll their sleeves and start doing something. I like those type of people than just, people who complain all the time. The system is rigged, the system is this, the system is that, and then what are you doing about it? Yeah. So it's not this type of thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who says, look, we are doing this way. This is effed up. Let's do this. I can show you. We can do this is better this way. And then prove it. That's what I mean. Okay. Okay, I see a lot of questions that I will address after on the Q&A. So thank you for posting them. Interesting questions, anyway. Yeah. So independent thinking is mission driven is also something that I look for individuals who they are doing they want to join us, for instance, because they want to do something, and the mission, they want to get somewhere, and the mission doesn't have to be necessarily 100% aligned with us, with our company, where our company is going. All I'm looking for is, do we have any overlapping thing? Can we work together until certain point, long enough, that's beneficial for both sides, and then we can part ways. That's what I look for. So it doesn't have to be 100% aligned with the company, but as long as there's a pathway that your mission, their stuff, what they want to accomplish, is aligned with the company long enough to to be an opportunity for both of us, like some sort of a win-win, right? We are on the journey together, and then it gets to the end. Okay, well, we'll go this way, the company will go that way. Okay. Team players, right? I actually don't think there is a contradiction, because I used to think that being independent means selfish. I actually don't think that, because I know, at least from my experience, especially with my colleagues, I'm very grateful to have a lot of independent thinking guys, this type, but they are team players. They are team players. They stick together. They make their point heard, but they also listen to the other people's argument, right? So I don't see anything, any contradiction between being a team player and being an independent thinker. In fact, I think they go in harmony, really. If you can have like a team of independent thinkers that are also team players, I think you probably, you as a company, or as a group of individuals, you can definitely accomplish a lot for less, even if it's just 3 or 4 of you. Okay. Let me check. Nice to see Francisco summarizing. Well, thank you. Yeah, and I apologize for swearing. I just thought if I didn't swear, it wouldn't be like natural, right? Coming out of the thing. So, I'm not going to be on TV, so it's okay. And I know that most of you are over 17 years old. So, yeah. So team players, that's what I also look for, traces of, right? Another thing is immune to hype. I have impression there's a typo somewhere, but I don't, you already know me, right? So yeah, so by immune to hype, especially in the quantum stuff, there's so much hype going on around, people making astronomical claims, and, everyone pushing around, especially in the research, in social media and this thing, because it's full of researchers. And, I have impression some researchers, like, they spend more time tweeting than actually doing research. I don't know. It's just I told you I will be controversial, right? So don't be immune to that. There's a lot of self-interest. Obviously people want specific topics, hyped, so they can, there's money, corporate money going there to, invest in government money, or because everyone is talking about this technology, or this approach, this paradigm is hot, and these things, this is the way. This is where it's important to have this critical thinking, independent thinking, because then you are not falling into this thing, into the hype. Okay, so because people who normally, if you fall into the hype, it means you are just following what someone else is hyping, right? You are gaining interest in something, that deep inside you, maybe, it's just, so stop and think. Whenever you want to pursue something, why are you pursuing it? Are you pursuing it because a famous researcher said this on Twitter? So yeah, I'll come back to this again. Another thing I look for is humbleness. So there's nothing wrong, again, this compatibility between being independent thinkers and saying, fuck the system, I don't like this, then being humble. So humble for me is like, humble, not just if you know more than your colleague, right? You should be humbled that, even if you know more than someone, you should be humble with that, because it's like power, it's like responsibility, right? And if you know less, you should also be humbled, like know that you have limitations. Somebody else has a particular knowledge. We don't know everything. We are not born knowing everything. There are, all of us, there are things that we are better off than the others. That's how things go, and we need to recognize that, right? So I really value that. that doesn't mean like, being humble, you just say, oh, I'm not good enough, or have like an imposter syndrome. No, no, no. You can be humble, at the same time, have the confidence, to make your case to others. Okay, so this is what I look for. Okay, I have more to share. Okay, if you're looking for a typo in your slide, I think the first slide would current. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Thank you, Francisco. I knew there's always a typo. Okay, so and now the next step I'm going to go through is this is the fast track process for me. My colleagues, they have different. There's some things that overlap. Like this thing and this thing and this thing overlap, but some people put a lot of things in between or whatever. This is normally what I do. My thing is normally this. So we get inbound, especially thanks to the course. By the way, I'm not complaining that people are sending me like plenty of CVs, especially people who have watched the videos on YouTube and these things. It's actually very. I'm humbled actually to see it's actually generating interest for people to feel wanting to join our company. Obviously, we cannot hire everybody, so but based on the stuff that we have been receiving, this is why I'm making this. So maybe this will help you, even if you don't get that opportunity at my company, it will give you the chance to do that. So, but let's stick with my company. So this is the hiring process. We normally have a data lake that we built for where we dump everything that comes in, CV-wise. We can query it, filter and these things, and then we find something interesting. I'll normally invite for a technical interview with myself or with another team lead, based on if we are doing like for a specific project, then the principal investigator of that thing is going to be on the call also, just to ask some, to dig into the technical side of things, to ask the person, just to assess the technical, the baseline. Obviously we don't expect people to know everything in these things, so when they apply for a role, whatever they say they know, we will obviously dive deeper. And also, we also focus a lot on what they don't know. Okay, so the technical interview will not be just about the technical stuff that you know, but the stuff that we need that you don't know. Okay, so yeah. So in a sense, it's also like a learning experience. People who do technical interview with us, because they end up, some actually that we didn't, unfortunately, we couldn't proceed with. They later on, got back to us saying, they gained interest on something else that we discussed, that they found interest, and then they went on to have a career in that stuff. Okay, so technical interview, and then security due diligence. So this is to do with the stuff I was saying in the beginning, that we provide services to the UK government agencies, and the UK at the moment, well, not just at the moment, as I guess any country nowadays, in the thing are unfortunately receive a lot of cyber threats and this type of stuff. So the last thing that we want to do is to make it easy for people to use us as a proxy to mount attack of the UK agency that work with us. So we have to do this, like to make sure that they are not a threat to the UK. Just like we do this to prevent, we don't our services, we don't actually sell services that the UK government can use to attack other nations. So we don't do that either. So it's just a kind of a balance that we need to strike, because some of our projects might touch in sensitive parts of UK critical infrastructure. So we have to do due diligence to make sure that the person is not, say, for example, a foreign intelligence officer, for instance, for example, or maybe in case of industrial espionage, this type of stuff. So yeah, so we do, and it's a lengthy process. it's faster. From our experience, like first of all, most people that work with us are all in the UK, so it's easier to do that because they already UK. The same with Europe and to an extent in the US also. But people outside from other geographies a little bit harder. It takes a little bit more time, but it's something that we have to do, which means that if you are desperate for a job, we are probably not the right company to come in. If you are immediately desperate for employment, because we will go through this process. Yeah, and we will inform you what we like. We send this generally a questionnaire, where we ask you certain information about you. We will tell you how that information is going to be used in order to, so you are not surprised if we find something, because well, that's the thing. Yeah. So this is the thing that takes time depending on where the person is. I won't share more on details about this because this is very important to us. So yeah. So after this, hopefully, and then there's this thing. This is very important. This is the culture and mission interview. This is where we find whether from their side and our side, whether there's any synergy, even if we don't have a common, the end goal is not the same, but can we work together until a certain point? Maybe can we work together for 2 years, and then there's a potential breaking point where they go that way because they are we are no longer interested in that and these things. Yeah, and then the final stage is to make an offer, and then generally there's always room after the first offer, as they say, for negotiation stuff. Okay, so that's the thing that looks like. Let me look at the chat. So I'm not a spy. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not saying you are not. Of course, that's what a spy would say. Yeah. We are not assuming everyone is a spy. It's just we don't want the spy to use us to go and as a proxy to go and get somewhere else. Just like we don't let the UK government use us to go and spy on something else. So we don't do that. And yeah, it's just part of the stuff. We are neutral. And obviously we are a UK company, so you would think that our loyalty lies in the UK, right? We are a British company, so we get British taxpayer. Yeah, George is saying well. I actually have I think one of my a friend of mine. He's also called George. I'll invite him actually to do a fireside chat. And George, our friend George here will be the moderator for sure. I will invite you for things. So yeah, he does know a lot about the spycraft stuff. So he's a cryptographer. Yeah. So Stefanos is true. Yeah, it's true. Especially if you work with the government stuff. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So now, so this is the press, and now you know what I'm looking for. So let's see the do's and don'ts. Okay. So if you don't agree, just let's agree to disagree. Okay. So the first thing, the first tip I'm going to give is that I've seen this countless times, especially in the last few days. Don't just send your CV listing, a bunch of software tools and courses completed, blah blah blah. I'll look at that. I'll say, what's this? Like, okay, yeah, I know how to use Qiskit, Penny Lane, blah blah blah, and I think it doesn't mean anything to me really. Because first of all, the industry, especially in the quantum stuff, the industry is so early. It's not even clear whether those tools that you've learned today are going to be relevant in the next 2 years or let alone 10 years. So don't just send the thing, a CV. I know most, probably all of you don't do this, but believe me, I've seen this countless time. That's why I'm listing it here. Instead, you need to attach, attach a cover letter also telling your story, make a relevant connection to the company's mission or whatever, And actually, I think 3 years ago, I had a friend. She asked me to be part of this study about CVs, sending just CV versus sending cover letter. How is the response time? It turns out, actually, I don't remember the precise thing. It turns out that when you send a cover letter as well, making like this thing that I'm saying here, at least for me, the responses were much higher, especially for small to medium-sized companies. For the larger companies, they have these automated tool. Maybe they just screen in, they pick in for keywords, these things, and maybe you get lucky. But it's always good to tell. This brings. There's another point that I will make about why are you sending CV to a company in the first place? Okay, so don't just send a list of his CV with listing all sort of a bunch of tools that you know how to use, and courses. Generally, the courses are delivered by a famous professor, in MIT or whatever. Okay, so this is not enough. Say something else. If you say this, I look at that, I go to sleep. Okay, so let me check the chat. Yeah. Okay, so some people are going. That's fine. I'll write to you on Slack. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2. This is coming very often. I'm writing it here because I've seen this several times. Is that don't highlight stuff like I have completed company XYZ's challenge and scored blah 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 blah. Whatever the generally score is very high. I couldn't care less about the thing, because first of all, this is like for me, what you are saying is that, hey, look at me, I've scored high, I'm good enough to work for your company. Okay, so I wouldn't do this. Instead, what I would be more happy with, apologies again, there's probably a typo somewhere, is if you highlight something technically relevant to the company, to my company, something that ideally something that you have taken the initiative to explore and complete without someone else telling you, self-initiative, independent thinking, independent technical thinking. That's what I'm looking for. This is what you should probably highlight, at least if you want to call my attention. In fact, I'm actually planning to create a folder for the CVs called blah, blah, blah. So whenever I see this, I will put them in the blah, blah, blah folder. Okay, so that's tip number 2. Okay, I told you it's going to be controversial, but stick with me, please. Okay. Tip number 3. I've seen this all again. In fact, everything I've shared, I've seen this countless times. That's why I'm sharing. Don't just say you want to join a company because you want to learn new things and improve yourself. In other words, don't make it like the reason for joining your company just about improving yourself. Okay, that's good. I get it. Like, you are showing humbleness to say, like, what, I feel I can improve myself. I feel I can learn more new things, and I feel your company is the right place for me to do that. But remember, a company, especially a for-profit company like ours, we're not a charity. They're not like, it's not their duty to improve yourself. What's in for the company? So mention something relevant also on top of that. Well, how can you help the company itself? If the company invests in you, right? Because hiring, and training you is an investment, right? It's a life investment. So don't just say you want to join a company. You can also, feel free. I always like, what can you do for us for the company that you are applying to? Okay. Tip number 4, there's a lot of us, again, there's probably typos, plenty of places, but it doesn't matter. I'll go through it. So the first thing in the don'ts is, this is only valid for unsolicited submissions. Don't keep spamming companies about your submission. For example, you submitted, and then you go email, send a message on LinkedIn. Oh, I've sent a CV. Have you received it? And even more, send another message. when will I hear back something about it? You know, so don't do this. At least it doesn't work with me, I would say. And I'm not sure if it will work for others, because it's just putting you in a position where you don't, you're just looking like someone who's desperate and these things, right? So don't do this. Be patient, okay? You send a CV, well, it's here. What should you do? Yeah, but let's focus on this first. And also, don't try to play the FOMO game, fear of missing out game. Every company has a FOMO. I definitely have FOMO, because I don't want to miss out a talented person and then they go to another company, make another big discovery. So every company, especially people hiring, they have that, especially if it's your company, it's a piece of you. You always want to hire the best people and you don't want to miss anybody, so there's a FOMO there, when have I let this guy go? Have I chosen the wrong person? I should have picked that guy, because now look, he went to the other company and they managed to do this. So, but don't try to tell that. Companies already know that. I already know that there's already FOMO, but don't try to make it like a pressure point strategy. For example, I've seen people tell the companies, look, if you don't decide quickly, I have other offer. There's a company X, generally competitors, that I've seen this enough times to see this. This is like it's a bad. It's a bad. Bad. It reflects bad. At least with me, it's over. The moment you say you're gonna, you just want to use the pressure to say, oh, otherwise I will go to the other company. Okay, well, go. That's fine. Okay. Another thing is, do not keep submitting your CV for different roles within the same companies. This is something also I've also learned from the study that I participated. Maybe for large companies you can get away with it, but for small companies will just see you like, dude, what do you want to do? The next time you want to be an architect, the other one you want to be whatever. So it's just this is the don'ts. The do's that I think you should do is, first of all, once you engage with a company, you don't hear back anything from them, just assume the worst. Assume that they found a better candidate, in their view anyway. Remember, it's this thing is subjective, and if you make it to the interview stage, and then it turns out to be no, ask for feedback to see why they didn't think you were the right person. They will tell you feedback. I like giving feedback. I do that, and I actually there are, whenever possible, I will say, maybe for this role, maybe company XYZ, you can work for them because they need these characteristics, I think, and these things. I actually know someone. Let me refer you to them. Okay, so always be polite, because you never know, the person hiring might actually put you in touch with someone else, because they kind of sense that you worth it, right? So you deserve it, I mean. Okay. And another thing I want for this segment is that use that anger, that disappointment. We all have that. People saying we're not good enough or something, or underestimate us and these things. Use that constructively. Tell yourself, f this company. They think I'm not good enough. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show them, or I'm going to go and do my own stuff. Maybe you create your own company or whatever. Show them, go work for another company and accomplish something. But don't let that put you down, or put you like don't take it personal in order to like box you in a corner where you kind of feel like this hate and these things on the company or the individual who said you are not the right person. But instead, use it to your advantage. Okay, that's my advice. Another thing, I know we are running out of this thing will be available in the recording anyway. So another thing, this is mostly the researchers that I come across. Researchers normally tend to give same, because they're coming from academia. This is like normal, not all researchers, but a lot of it. This is normally coming from engineers working for like companies that are normally like like have some sort of proprietary software and these things. taking credit for technical work is that you have done with others in order to impress is not advisable, because people do references. They go there and say, okay, yeah, he built this or he did that, and then it turns out, okay, so actually you didn't work in that project. Actually, you worked in something else. So make it very clear your contributions, and give credit to others, who deserve it, especially those who contributed more than you. So so this is, I guess, this is an integrity tip, I would say. This one here, like prematurely to bring salary and perks into conversation before a technical interview. I've seen this enough times, where I normally see this is like somebody applies and there's potential match. There's a screening call. The call is just like a verification to make sure it's the person who did it and nobody hijacked their identity. It was them, and blah blah blah. And then it ends up with someone from the company asking, "Do you have any other question?" And then the first question they come out, "Oh, what's the salary average and this thing, and what are the perks that your company offers?" I would say don't bring that prematurely into thing before you had an interview. Instead, wait until after the interview at least, or I would even wait until an offer is made, and then you can bring in these things about salary and perks into the conversation. If you do it before that, it's like why do you want to join the company? The thing it's just the timing. So at least for me, before I interview somebody, I don't want them to ask me about perks and all this. Okay. Number 7. Don't assume you are, because I've seen this few times, not many times, but I've seen occasion, not necessarily with my company, but with I've heard of colleagues from other companies. Don't assume just because you are active on social media and have, I don't know, 1,000 followers or whatever, or you have like notable industry people following you and you exchange your tweets or whatever, that you are adding some extra value to the company in a way that the company should give you an extra something extra. So don't assume that. Instead, as our American friends say, assume that companies don't give a damn about your social media presence and who follows you. In fact, social media presence can be a PR disaster for the company, right? Because we have all these stuff where one is not sure about where free speech is, and the boundaries between free speech and hate speech and all of this stuff. Yeah, so it can be like companies can be dragged into PR, because this thing of whatever people put on Twitter, for example, to say that views are only mine, not of my company. Well, it's very hard to separate yourself, your views from the thing in this modern age. So having social media thing is a thing, and another thing is security. Yeah, that's why actually one of the reasons that in my company only myself and two other my other co-founder and two other things that have a social media presence that are explicitly associating our company with their profiles. Because it can be a security liability. If people know, okay, some adversary, somebody who wants to use our company to do whatever, say, for example, attack the UK government stuff, they could say, okay, he or she works for Zyku. Okay, yeah, let's mount some ops. We know that Zyku, for example, offers whatever to thing. Yeah. So being invisible is actually something that we decided this is the route that we decided to take. So anyone who is under 5 years, that's the limit that we put. We encourage you to not associate yourself with us on social media. That way you can say what you want, it's fine. We have no issues with it. Nobody will come to us. And at the same time, somebody, an adversary to the United Kingdom want to use you to think they don't know, there's no, so it's like that. So social media cannot, it's just by having that presence, it doesn't mean adding value to everybody, okay? At least to a company like ours. Let me check the chat. Another thing is advice number 8. Don't pay attention to industry media hype driven by people with obvious conflict of interest. For example, like academic founder hyping a particular quantum tech in the media because his or her company is pursuing the same quantum tech, right? So again, remember, be independent. Don't listen. The thing like this is the future and these things. You have to do this and these things. Always think independently. And another final thing, because I know we have a lot of programming audience and these things, not necessarily with you guys. I know you guys, because the reason you attended the foundation module is because mathematics is important. But don't assume you'll be able to make non-trivial contribution to quantum computing. Say, for example, creating new algorithms and this, and just with with the Python, because and without a good grasp of the underlying mathematics and some fundamental stuff of quantum mechanics, it's the nature doesn't give a damn about Python. Okay, you can do something, whatever that makes sense with Python. Does that mean it's actually implementable? Does it make sense in quantum mechanics in a quantum sense? Or even does it have any mathematical thing? I've seen a lot of. I'm saying this because I'm seeing a lot of publicity and these things. Initiative. I'm sure they are like well intended, giving the impression that all you need is Python. There is all these libraries. The abstractions are not there yet for you to be able to not think about what's going on at the gate level, for instance. So just learning Python. If you hear this and somebody say this, please correct them. Unless they want to be playing with the toy stuff, but just Python will not get them paid for sure. If you want to be a professional and be paid to do something, you cannot ignore mathematics and the fundamentals. Okay. And the final thing, be very skeptical of anything you hear, including people you consider industry leaders. Okay. So finally, tip number 9. Don't make any career decision based on what others, including notable industry people tell you or think. So always make sure that you listen, but ultimately it's in your heart and in your mind what you want to do, and you have to owe that. Okay, you have to take control of that. Don't let the control of what you want to become to be based on what you hear someone else say. Okay, so that's my I guess my final advice. And when it comes to quantum computing, the first time I heard about quantum computing when I was like in the thing in early 2002. I won't tell my age here, so because I don't want you to know my real age. The riddle, I let you guess. So anyway, I was one of the professors. One of my professors. He had a team that he assembled, which he invited me to be part. Essentially, trying to break RSA challenges. Back then, RSA would publish some prime. Some composite numbers, and they put the challenge there where you can find you can factor it and these things. Yeah. Anyway, that same professor invited another professor who gave a talk about quantum computing, in particular the Shor's algorithm about breaking RSA and this type of stuff. Back then, I was very skeptic. I was like, look, because I was thinking about, maybe I was too focused on what was possible back then. Say, look, I didn't even have, this machine didn't have like a 1 gig RAM at the time. I was like, the state of the actual classical technology is so rudimentary, I mean, how can we think about things that so I was very skeptic anyway. And also speaking to some colleagues of mine who were like physicists and these things, most of them very, very, very skeptical that, this is all nice theories and all this, but in practice, it's like, it's going to be very impossible engineering challenge. And now in 20, I look myself here now, with having a startup which is interested in this, because I believe there is an opportunity, and we are at the very early stages of it. And you all, regardless of where you are coming from, you can indeed be part of this this new paradigm of computing. But you have to be obviously realistic, and you have to do what you need to do in order to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish in this thing. So that's what I want to. Don't give up. Whatever you hear me say over the past the thing, remember, you have to make your own career decisions. Okay. So with that, I'll stop sharing, and then what I will do is go through the questions. I know Aditya asked this question, but he's not along, but I will answer his question. Are there, let me start answering. So his question is, are there actually any opportunities for software like me who are just getting into theoretical side of things? Do you have strict academic time? So the question has so many parts. So the first part is, are there actual opportunities for software engineers? Like, I think there are, really. There are opportunities, in fact, you can see a lot of companies hiring people with especially companies who are more focused on the near-term stuff, building like hybrid algorithms and these things. So they need people who know the the existing paradigms, existing infrastructure, because very often a lot of stuff are running already on on existing say cloud infrastructure, for instance, and these things that normal software engineers know how to deal with, right? So yeah, so there is an opportunity, whether the minimal stuff that you need, whether it's just your current background, whether you don't need to add anything extra to your existing background, that's in my opinion, you need to have, for me, mathematics and having the fundamentals of physics is very important, even if you are a software engineer, because this is how you can communicate better with those people, understand better what's going on at the hardware level and these things, because the abstractions are not there yet for you to just ignore and go about doing the stuff just from pure software developer's point of view. Okay, maybe in the future as the abstractions get better and higher, and you never know, maybe you don't have to you as a software engineer, but for now, if you want an opportunity, yes. So yeah. So the second part is, then do you have strict academic requirements? No, we don't have strict academic requirement. You don't need a PhD. You don't need to come from academia. All we require is that you have the thing. First of all, you already have some sound foundation background. If you are a software engineer, at least we expect you to know, for example, the best practices of modern software development, right? Things like things to do with continuous delivery and continuous integration stuff, all this stuff. Apart from that, your willingness to learn, especially the mathematical side, especially if you are interested in quantum stuff, or as a matter of fact, the other stuff that, in my case, in my company, we are involved in, you definitely need mathematics, but that's not a problem, because as I mentioned, we do have an internal training program that people go through, so they can take the minimum mathematics that they need in order to maximize their contribution. So we don't expect you to be to get in and dive deeper into the mathematics and become a mathematician. No, but at least help you to get enough in order to maximize your output. That's what we look for. International. Yes, at the moment, people collaborating with us is more in Europe, mostly UK, but we have also Europe and United States and Canada. Okay, outside is something a little bit trickier because of the recruitment process, especially this security due diligence stuff that I have to go through, because it's very harder in some jurisdiction for us to do that. But it's definitely something that hopefully we can improve to enable more people. Because as I said, I believe talent is universal. It's it can come from anywhere, in any country. So and people should also be given opportunity, right? So yeah, I'm not sure if it answers the question, but hopefully it got a little bit closer. So the next question is, how patient one company took over a year to get back to me. Okay. No, we will not take. I'll not take 1 year to get back. Normally, if we engage with you, I'm very fast in getting, especially if you get to the technical interview. I normally get back to say, maybe you need this, or there's something lacking in these things, and maybe sometimes people can counter, but it's very hard once we, if we are looking for something specific, and then the person doesn't have that minimal baseline stuff that we can add something on top. It's like so we generally don't take. It's like a pizza crust, right? We don't want it plain. We want something, and then we the technical stuff, the toppings that we add to give it something, some extra flavor. That's what we want. So it's very hard if the person doesn't have some sort of technical, a little bit of a technical background on that. On the mathematical side, we are actually more flexible because we know, other people are not coming from mathematics. In fact, people get scared about mathematics and distance. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we like to, give these free courses just to show people, teaching things differently, to show people that it's actually, it's a very beautiful subject. It just takes time to build stuff. Yeah. So going back again to your question, how patient, so it won't be 1 year to get back to you. We'll engage for sure. Okay. I see more questions actually. Okay. Yeah, I guess I have answered all the questions. Does anyone have any other question in the chat? Or am I just blah, blah, blah? I'm not even sure if I'm online because. Okay. I was looking like, where is everyone? Yeah. Does anyone have any question? Please challenge me. I know we are running out of the thing. Anything you specific? Yeah, I hope I didn't like put you like on the spirit of like motivated. Yeah, no worries, Rishi. Good to see you. Yeah. So okay, good. In that case, I guess there's only 2 people left at the moment. So we catch up then. And if you don't have any questions, well, I see you. The slides will be available later, and I will email everybody. Okay. Okay, good. So thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Bye.